Hello, and welcome back to Reconfiguring Reality. I know previously we've stated that we were interested in doing a spin off podcast called Reconfiguring Reality TV versus Reality, in which we compare TV shows and movies to real life events that they're based on or inspired by. We released one already on H.H. Holmes at the beginning of the year. And today we are going to do another one because things fell apart and we were unable to get something else together. So we're going to do this. And it's just me today. I'm Laura. It's nice to see you again. So, welcome back to Reconfiguring Reality. And today we're going to do some TV versus reality. Hello, and welcome to Reconfiguring Reality TV versus Reality. In this series, we wanted to take a look at those TV shows and movies that are based on or inspired by real life events or people. We'll deep dive into the event or person, then compare the TV show or movie with the truth of the topic. This episode, we will be focusing on the murder of Gabby Petito and comparing it to the Lifetime movie, The Gabby Petito Story, as well as Season 4, Episode 8 of 911 Lone Star, called Control Freaks. We want to begin with reminding you, the listener, that the information gathered for this episode was collected from several sites on the internet and fact checked to the best of our ability. We will touch on the topics of murder, domestic violence, and suicide. Viewer discretion is advised. I'm Laura, and this is Reconfiguring Reality TV versus Reality. Sometime between August 27th and August 29th, 2021, Gabby Petito was killed by blunt trauma and strangulation. On September 21st, 2021, Brian Laundrie died from a self inflicted gunshot wound. What happened between this couple for them to end up with this fate? Here's what we know. Gabrielle Venora Petito was born on March 19, 1999, to parents Joseph Petito and Nicole Schmidt in Blue Point, New York. Gabby graduated from Bayport Blue Point High School in 2017. She lived in Carolina Beach, North Carolina from September 2017 to January 2019. Gabby met Brian Laundrie while in her sophomore year of high school. They were acquaintances while in high school and officially started dating after reconnecting in early 2019. Their first date was sushi on the beach in March of 2019. Gabby's parents divorced and both remarried, Joe to Tara Petito and Nicole to Jim Schmidt. Gabby was the oldest of 6 children between the two couples. Brian Christopher Laundrie was born on November 18th, 1997, in Bayport, New York, to parents Christopher and Roberta Laundrie. He was the youngest of 2 children, having an older sister. His parents moved to Northport, Florida in 2019 from Bayport, New York. Brian convinced Gabby to move with him to Florida, leaving everyone she knew behind. Gabby, having few friends in the area, went on Bumble BFF and met Rose Davis of Sarasota. Gabby and Rose became fast friends. Rose said that although Brian came off sweet and caring, he actually tended to be jealous and controlling. She recalled an evening when she and Gabby were going to go out, but they had to turn around and go back home because Brian stole Gabby's ID. Rose said Brian didn't want her to go out with me, so he stole it, which led to them having a fight. Regarding Brian's jealousy, Rose further stated, I'm her only friend in Florida to my knowledge, and that's not because she can't make friends. He just didn't want her to have friends. The two became so close that they shared their locations with each other through a phone app. However, Rose said that when Brian found this out, he made Gabby delete the app. Gabby and Brian were working together at Publix while in Florida. Gabby is a pharmacist technician while Brian worked in the grocery department. The couple quit their jobs at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. Once deciding that they wanted to take a cross country trip together, Gabby got a job working 50 hours a week at Taco Bell to save money. Gabby purchased a 2012 Ford Transit Connect van in December 2020 with money she saved from this job. They converted it into a camper so that they could travel and camp together while documenting the adventure on social media under the growing blogging sensation of van life. In June 2021, Gabby and Brian went to New York to visit Gabby's family. From there, the couple started the rest of their journey across the United States on July 2nd, 2021. It's hard to determine what happened between the couple while they were off camera, but Gabby posted fairly regular Instagram posts and YouTube videos about the wonderful and positive time they were having. On August 12th, 2021, a 911 call was placed to the Moab Police Department in Moab, Utah. The call came from a man outside a grocery store who said he witnessed the couple fighting and the man hitting the woman. They reported that the man took the woman's phone and walked away from the van with her following. They also witnessed him getting in the van and trying to leave without the woman, who had to crawl over him to get to the passenger seat. Gabby and Brian were pulled over a short time later and were recorded on police body cam. The videos were released on September 20th, 2021, and revealed that although no charges were pressed, the couple were separated for the night. They put Brian up in a hotel and gave Gabby the keys to her van. They did this because at the time they felt Brian was a greater victim in the situation. On August 17th, 2021, Brian flew to Tampa, Florida to close the storage unit he and Gabby had as a measure to save money for their trip. He rejoined Gabby on August 23rd, 2021 in Salt Lake City. On August 24th, 2021, Gabby FaceTimed her mother and told her that they were leaving Utah and heading to the Teton Range in Wyoming. On August 25th, 2021, there were multiple texts shared between Gabby and her mother. On August 27th, 2021, Gabby and Brian went to lunch at the Mary Piglet's Tex-Mex in Jackson, Wyoming. Reports came in that Brian was showing anger to the management and staff, supposedly regarding money. The last footage that was found of Gabby and Brian together was from a security camera in a grocery store on August 27th, 2021. An exchange of frantic phone calls between Brian and his family occurred on August 29th, 2021, where Brian told his mom that Gabby was gone and that he might need her to get him an attorney. On August 30th, 2021, Gabby's family received their last text from Gabby. According to the Petito family attorney, the text read, "No service in Yosemite." In September, a woman claimed that she and her boyfriend gave Brian a ride on August 29th, 2021. Brian claimed that he had been camping by himself while Gabby was at their van working on social media posts. Another woman further claimed that she picked Brian up from near where the couple dropped him off by Jackson Lake Dam and gave him a ride to the Spread Creek dispersed camping area. September 1st, 2021, Brian returned to his parents' house in Northport in the van without Gabby. The Laundrie family took a 2-day camping trip to a campground 75 miles away from their home starting on September 6th, 2021. On September 11th, 2021, Gabby's family in New York filed a missing person report. The police in Suffolk County collaborated with Northport authorities who went to the Laundrie home. The Laundrie family, following the advice of their family attorney, did not speak to authorities. September 13th, 2021, Brian was seen leaving the family residence by police surveillance. They saw who they believed to be Brian return home with his car on September 15th, 2021. September 17th, 2021 brought about the start of not only the search for Gabby, but also for Brian, whose family said they had not seen or heard from him since September 13th, 2021. September 19th, 2021, human remains were discovered in Teton County. Although the remains were confirmed to be those of Gabby Petito by the Teton County coroner, the cause of death was not yet determined. On September 23rd, 2021, the FBI issued a federal warrant for Brian Laundrie on the charges of use of unauthorized devices related to his activities after Gabby's death. He was suspected of using a credit card and PIN for accounts that did not belong to him for charges of more than $1,000 sometime between August 30th and September 1st, 2021. On October 12th, 2021, after a detailed investigation by forensic pathologists, anthropologists, and local law enforcement, as well as the FBI, Gabby's cause of death was determined to be strangulation. The coroner also stated that Gabby's body was outside in the wilderness for about 2 to 4 weeks before being discovered. On October 20th, 2021, human remains along with personal items, including a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian Laundrie, were discovered at Florida's Carlton Reserve. The human remains were identified as those of Brian Laundrie on October 21st, 2021. His cause of death, a gunshot wound to the head, was released on November 23rd, 2021. In a news release from January 21st, 2022, the FBI stated that they had written statements by Brian Laundrie claiming responsibility for Gabby's death in the notebook found by his remains. They also confirmed that Brian had used Gabby's debit card without authorization between August 30th and September 1st on his drive back to Florida from Wyoming. It was further determined that Brian sent several messages between their phones after Gabby's death, likely in an attempt to deceive law enforcement by giving the impression that Gabby was still alive. In June 2022, an attorney for the Laundrie family released the contents of Brian's notebook, where he wrote, quote, "Gabby, I wish I was right at your side. I wish I could be talking to you right now. I'd be going through every memory we made, getting even more excited for the future. But we lost our future. I can't live without you. I've lost every day we could have spent together, every holiday. I'll never get to play with Cotton and Matt again. Never go hiking with TJ. I love you more than anything. I can't bear to look at our photos, to recall great times because it is why I cannot go on. When I close my eyes, I will think of laughing on the roof of the van, falling asleep to the sight of illegible at the crystal geyser. I will always love you." If you were reading Gab's journal, looking at photos from our life together, flipping through old cards, you wouldn't want to live a day without her. Knowing that every day you'll wake up without her, you wouldn't want to wake up. I'm sorry to everyone this will affect. Gabby was the love of my life, and I know adored by many. I'm so very sorry to her family because I love them. I'd consider her younger siblings my best friends. I am so sorry to my family. This is a shock to them as well as a terrible grief. They loved as much, if not more, than me. A new daughter to my mother, an aunt to my nephews. Please do not make this harder for them. This occurred as an unexpected tragedy. Rushing back to our car, trying to cross the streams of Spread Creek before it got too dark to see, too cold. I hear a splash and a scream. I could barely see. I couldn't find her for a moment. Shouted her name. I found her breathing heavily, gasping my name. She was freezing cold. We had just come from the blazing hot national parks in Utah. The temperature had dropped to freezing, and she was soaking wet. I carried her as far as I could from the stream to the car, stumbling, exhausted and shocked when my knees buckled, and I knew I couldn't safely carry her. I started a fire and spooned her as close to the heat. She was so thin, had already been freezing too long. I couldn't at the time realize that I should have started a fire first, but I wanted her out of the cold back to the car. From where I started the fire, I had no idea how far the car might be, only knew it was across the creek. When I pulled Gabby out of the water, she couldn't tell me what hurt. She had a small bump on her forehead that eventually got larger. Her feet hurt, her wrist hurt, but she was freezing, shaking violently. While carrying her She continuously made sounds of pain. Lying, laying next to her, she said little, gasping between violent shakes, gasping in pain, begging for an end to her pain. She would fall asleep and I would shake her awake, fearing she shouldn't close her eyes if she had a concussion. She would wake in pain, start her whole painful cycle again while furious that I was the one waking her. She wouldn't let me try to cross the creek. Thought like me that the fire would go out in her sleep and she'd freeze. I don't know the extent of Gabby's injuries, only that she was in extreme pain. I ended her life. I thought it was merciful, that it is what she wanted, but I see now all the mistakes I made. I panicked. I was in shock. But from the moment I decided took away her pain, I knew I couldn't go on without her. I rushed home to spend any time I had left with my family. I wanted to drive north and let James and or TJ kill me, but I wouldn't want them to spend time in jail over my mistake, even though I'm sure they would have liked to. I am ending my life not because of fear of punishment, but rather because I can't stand to live another day without her. I've lost our whole future together, every moment we could have shared. I'm sorry for everyone's loss. Please do not make life harder for my family. They lost a son and a daughter. They, the most wonderful girl in the world. Gabby, I'm so sorry. I have killed myself by this creek in the hopes that animals may tear me apart, that it may make some of her family happy. Please pick up all my things. Gabby hated people who litter. End quote. Gabby's parents filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the Moab Police Department in November 2022. The case was dismissed by a judge in November 2024. They also filed a civil lawsuit against the Laundrie family and the Laundrie family's attorney, Stephen Bertoloni, in March 2022. This case was taken to mediation and settled outside of court for $3 million in February 2024. The money that they received from this settlement is said to be going to the nonprofit organization, the Gabby Petito Foundation, which was established by Gabby's parents. The Lifetime movie, The Gabby Petito Story, was released on October 1st, 2022, even though the court cases were still open. As with other truth based movies, this movie has a disclaimer. This movie is based on a true story. Some composites or some characters, events, and dialogue have been fictionalized for the purposes of dramatization. The first difference we see when comparing the movie to the real life event is that of Gabby and Brian's first date. We know from the posts on social media their first date was sushi on the beach, but we see them bowling in the movie. It's an important It's important to point out that the movie tried to showcase Brian's jealousy and anger issues, as well as touching on his anxiety. In the movie, there's a scene where Gabby tells Brian about a new job that she gets working in an ice cream shop. He gets upset with Gabby and seems jealous that she not only got a job where more men can talk to her, but that she also was leaving the job where they work together. Some interesting facts to point out that the movie didn't touch on were small details of Gabby's siblings and Brian's family, Gabby's and later Brian's tattoos, and the fact that the couple was worried about their finances while on their trip. The movie showed a close life reenactment of the situation with a 911 call in Moab, but they changed the location and some details of the actual information in the call, like where they physically were. The fact that Brian took Gabby's phone and walked down the street and back again, as well as him trying to leave without Gabby in the van. In the movie, we see the couple arguing at a restaurant, but instead of them fighting over money, as speculated in real life, we see Brian getting angry at Gabby for worrying more about her public image than anything else. In fact, there were no mentions in the movie about the couple's concern over money or the trip Brian made to Florida to close their storage unit. Another thing that was changed was the fact that the movie showed the probability that Brian buried Gabby. We see in the movie that he patted down a mound of dirt, which would lead the viewer to believe that he buried her in the forest. However, when her body was found, she was lying on her side with her head facing downhill, making it look like an accident. The movie speculated that Brian killed Gabby as an angry reaction to her breaking up with him at the campsite. They stated that the cause of Gabby's death was strangulation and throttling. We know this could be the truth because her death records stated her cause of death as homicide by strangulation. We know this could be truth because her death records state her cause of death as homicide by strangulation and blunt force trauma. But again, we don't know exactly what happened between them to cause such an event to occur. The movie does touch base on Brian's death and mentions the notebook being found, but they are vague as to what was in the notebook. But those are just a few of the differences between the movie and the real life event. Let's look at 911 Lone Star Season 4, Episode 8, Control Freaks. Show spoilers are ahead. It's never been confirmed that this episode is solely based on the Gabby Petito story, but the similarities certainly make one revisit the case of Gabby Petito when they watch it. The main differences we see right off the bat are the location as to which they are in. 911 being in New Mexico instead of Utah, and the type of vehicle they are driving. In 911, they have a full camper, and the amount of time the couple has been together. In the episode, we see Marjan taking a road trip on her motorcycle through New Mexico. She runs across a couple, Kylie and Grant, whose camper has broken down on the side of the road and decides to stop to see if she can help. Once she's done giving them a little help she could, she returns to her bike to find the note from Kylie that reads, "Help, he's going to kill me." She decides to follow the couple to a truck stop ahead to keep an eye on them as she tries to figure out a way to help Kylie. While there, Marjan is able to meet Kylie alone in the bathroom to talk. After checking to make sure Grant isn't listening at the door, Kylie makes a mention that she is scared that Grant is going to get mad about the cost of the repair of the camper. When Marjan suggests that they contact the police, Kylie states that she had called the police before about Grant's anger and abuse, but that the police didn't believe her. So Marjan and a random truck driver set up a way for Kylie to get away. Kylie decides against running away and instead leaves the truck stop with Grant. The next time we see this couple is when they are driving. We witness Grant being rude and gaslighting Kylie, saying things like, "I knew you couldn't leave me, and everyone abandons you except me. You know why? Because I'm the only one who can stand you." Riley became upset by the things that Grant was saying to her and was crying, to which Grant yelled at her to stop and hit her when she didn't. Eventually, Marjan is able to get Grant arrested and Riley to a safe place, which is the biggest difference between the show and the case of Gabby Petito. Gabby Petito's parents, Nicole and Joseph, started the Gabby Petito Foundation in October 2021. This nonprofit organization was established to address the need of organizations that assist victims in domestic violence situations through education, awareness, and prevention strategies. Their goal is to focus on raising awareness about domestic violence while also creating tougher laws and policies governing how police respond to reports of intimate partner abuse and missing persons. The Gabby Petito Foundation link can be found below. Thank you for joining us on this journey into TV versus reality. Until next time, stay safe.